life as we experience it is a dance, a movement, a flow. It is like water running through a stream, ever changing, ever moving. And yet we spend so much of our time trying to freeze this flow, to hold on to moments, people, identities, and ideas. We clutch at what we think is permanent, though nothing ever truly is. This paradox that we long for permanence in an impermanent world is the source of so much of our suffering. To embrace the flow of life is to align oneself with the rhythm of existence rather than resist it. This notion can be both liberating and challenging, for it requires a shift in perspective, a movement away from the illusion of control to the reality of participation. Life is not a series of fixed points to be achieved or controlled, but an ever-unfolding journey, like a river flowing naturally to the sea. Resisting this flow creates tension and suffering, while embracing it allows us to experience the profound harmony that arises when we align ourselves with life's inherent dynamics. When we resist the flow of life, we act against its nature. Consider how often we try to hold on to things, relationships, possessions, beliefs, or even our sense of self. This clinging comes from fear, from a desire for stability in a world that is inherently dynamic and transient. We convince ourselves that if we hold on tightly enough, we can preserve what we cherish or avoid what we fear. Yet in this effort we find not security but strain. The tighter we hold, the more we feel the resistance, like trying to grasp water with a clenched fist. The act of holding on creates its own kind of suffering, as it isolates us from the natural ebb and flow of life. Letting go, then, is not an act of defeat but one of alignment. It is not about giving up or abandoning our desires and values, rather, it is about recognizing the futility of resistance and stepping into the stream of life with trust and openness. This alignment is a profound act of courage. It means releasing the need to control outcomes and instead being fully present with what is, trusting that life in its wisdom will unfold as it should. It is a surrender not to despair, but to the greater intelligence of existence itself. The process of letting go is deeply counterintuitive for many of us. We are taught to strive, to fight, to assert ourselves against the challenges we face. And while effort and determination have their place, there is a crucial distinction between working in harmony with life's flow and working against it. When we push against the current, we expend energy unnecessarily, often missing opportunities and insights that could have come if we had simply allowed ourselves to be carried by the river. Letting go does not mean inaction, it means responsive action, moving with life rather than in opposition to it. Imagine the effortless flight of a bird soaring on the wind. The bird does not fight the air currents but uses them to its advantage, adjusting its wings and movements to remain aloft. This is a beautiful metaphor for letting go. When we align ourselves with the flow of life, we do not lose agency, we gain a deeper sense of connection and adaptability. We become more attuned to the present moment and more capable of responding with clarity and grace. To let go is also to embrace uncertainty. Much of our resistance to life's flow comes from a fear of the unknown. We cling to what is familiar because it feels safe, even if it no longer serves us. But life is a continuous unfolding, and uncertainty is its very essence. The future is always unwritten, a canvas yet to be painted. By resisting this truth, we limit ourselves to a narrow existence. When we let go of our need for certainty, we open ourselves to the full spectrum of possibilities. This openness is not reckless but wise, for it allows us to engage with life as it is, not as we wish it to be. Furthermore, letting go brings us into a deeper relationship with time. When we resist the flow of life, we are often caught in the grip of the past or the pull of the future. We replay old memories, hoping to change what cannot be changed, or we project our fears and desires onto the future, striving for outcomes that may or may not come to pass. In doing so, we lose sight of the present moment, the only place where life truly happens. To let go is to return to now, to the immediacy of experience, where we can fully engage with life's richness. This alignment with life's flow also fosters a profound sense of interconnectedness. When we let go of our resistance, we begin to see that we are not separate from the world around us, but an integral part of it. The boundaries we construct between ourselves and others, between ourselves and nature, begin to dissolve. We realize that just as a wave is inseparable from the ocean, we are inseparable from the whole of existence. This realization brings a sense of peace and belonging, for we are no longer struggling against the tide, but moving with it. Ultimately, embracing the flow of life is an act of trust in the wisdom of the universe, trust in our own resilience, and trust in the unfolding of the journey. Letting go does not mean abandoning our dreams or aspirations, it means holding them lightly, allowing them to evolve as life moves forward. It is about finding freedom in the midst of change, joy in the midst of uncertainty, and peace in the midst of impermanence. To let go is to live fully. It is to recognize that life, in all its complexity and beauty, is not something to be conquered or controlled, but something to be experienced and celebrated. When we align ourselves with the flow, we discover a profound sense of ease, a harmony that arises not from forcing life to fit our expectations, but from allowing it to unfold as it is meant to. In this alignment, we find not defeat but liberation, not loss but fulfillment. And in that liberation, we come to see that life's greatest gift is not in holding on, but in letting go. Holding on tightly to people, possessions, ideas, or outcomes is a deeply ingrained human tendency. It stems from our desire for control, our longing for security, and our fear of loss or change. Yet this instinct to grasp tightly is often the very source of our suffering. When we cling, we create a tension that isolates us from the natural flow of life and binds us to unnecessary pain. True freedom, by contrast, arises not from accumulation or control, but from releasing attachment. It is in letting go that we find a profound sense of liberation, peace, and joy. Attachment is born from the illusion that permanence can be found in a world that is inherently impermanent. We hold on to relationships, believing they will always stay the same. We cling to possessions, fearing their loss will diminish us. We fixate on outcomes, convinced that achieving them will bring lasting fulfillment. Yet the nature of life is change. Everything we hold dear is subject to time, transformation, and eventual dissolution. By clinging to what is transient, we set ourselves up for inevitable disappointment and suffering. The act of holding on is not just a physical or material behavior, it is a mental and emotional state. It is the mind's way of grasping at stability in an unpredictable world. However, this grasping creates rigidity, a refusal to adapt to the fluidity of life. It is like trying to clutch a handful of sand. The tighter we squeeze, the more it slips through our fingers. In our attempts to control life, we often lose the very essence of what we are trying to preserve. The beauty of a moment, a relationship, or an experience lies in its fleeting nature. By insisting it stay unchanged, we miss its truth and vitality. Attachment also generates fear of losing what we have or not getting what we desire. This fear becomes a constant companion, gnawing at our peace of mind. We become trapped in a cycle of craving and aversion, forever seeking to hold on to pleasure and avoid pain. This cycle keeps us tethered to a state of dissatisfaction, as no amount of clinging can prevent change or shield us from loss. In fact, the more we cling, the more we amplify our suffering when the inevitable occurs. The antidote to this suffering lies in the act of letting go. To release attachment is not to reject or abandon what we love, rather, it is to hold it lightly, appreciating it for what it is without demanding it fulfill our expectations or remain unchanged. Letting go is an act of trust in the flow of life, trust in our own resilience, and trust that we can find fulfillment not in possession or control, but in presence and openness. Releasing attachment does not mean becoming indifferent or disengaged. On the contrary, it allows us to engage with life more fully and authentically. When we are no longer preoccupied with clinging or resisting, we are free to experience each moment as it is, unburdened by fear or expectation. This openness fosters a deeper connection to ourselves, to others, and to the world around us. It is a state of being where love and appreciation flow naturally, unencumbered by the need to possess or control. Freedom arises from releasing attachment because it liberates us from the chains of our own making. When we let go, we stop identifying our sense of self with external things, our possessions, achievements, or relationships. We begin to see that our true essence is not dependent on these things, that who we are is far more expansive and resilient than we imagined. This realization brings a profound sense of liberation, as we are no longer bound by the fear of loss or the need for validation. Letting go also allows us to embrace impermanence, to see it not as a threat, but as a natural and beautiful aspect of life. When we accept that everything is in a state of flux, we can stop resisting change and start flowing with it. This acceptance does not mean passivity, it means responding to life's changes with grace and adaptability. It means cherishing what we have while we have it and releasing it when it is time to move on. Consider the analogy of a bird in flight. If you try to cage it, you may keep it near, but you rob it of its freedom, and in doing so, you diminish its beauty. However, if you let the bird fly, you honor its nature and experience the joy of its freedom. In much the same way, letting go of attachment allows us to honor the true nature of life and experience its beauty without the constraints of grasping. The process of releasing attachment can be challenging. It requires us to confront our fears and step into the unknown. It demands that we let go of the illusion of control and embrace vulnerability. But in doing so, we discover a deeper sense of security, one that is not dependent on external circumstances, but rooted in the inner peace that comes from alignment with life's flow. Ultimately, the freedom that arises from releasing attachment is not about what we lose, but about what we gain. We gain a life unburdened by fear and striving, a life enriched by presence and authenticity. We discover the joy of being fully alive in each moment, free to love, to create, and to grow without the constraints of clinging. This freedom is not a distant goal, but a reality available to us whenever we choose to let go. And in that letting go, we find that life, in all its impermanence and unpredictability, is enough more than enough just as it is. Life, at its core, is a fleeting and ever-changing phenomenon. Every moment flows into the next, every breath signals a shift, and every experience is a transient occurrence in the vast tapestry of existence. This impermanence is not a flaw of life, it is its defining feature, the very essence of what makes life vibrant and meaningful. Yet, as human beings, we often find ourselves clinging, grasping at moments, people, possessions, and ideas as though by holding tightly, we can preserve them, keep them unchanging, and make them ours forever. This clinging, however, blinds us to the true beauty of life, for it is in accepting its transience that we can fully appreciate its depth and richness. To understand the transient nature of life, one needs only to look at the natural world. Seasons come and go, each bringing its unique beauty and challenges. The colors of autumn leaves, the blossoms of spring, the warmth of summer, and the stark elegance of winter, they all exist for a time only to transform into something new. The cycle of nature is a reminder that nothing remains static. Trees shed their leaves, rivers carve new paths, and mountains erode over millennia. This impermanence is not a tragedy but a testament to the dynamic and ever-evolving nature of existence. Yet, as humans, we often resist this reality. We cling to what is familiar and comforting, hoping to freeze time and protect ourselves from the inevitable changes that life brings. We hold on to relationships, fearing their loss, or we strive to preserve our youth, beauty, or success, as though these aspects define our worth. We attach ourselves to possessions, believing they anchor us in a world that feels uncertain. In doing so, we place ourselves in opposition to the very nature of life, creating a tension that prevents us from truly experiencing its beauty. This clinging arises from the fear of loss, the fear of change, the fear of the unknown. It is a deeply human response to the impermanence that surrounds us. But in our attempts to resist transience, we lose sight of what makes life beautiful, its fleeting, ephemeral quality. The beauty of a sunset lies not in its permanence, but in its impermanence, the way its colors shift and fade, never to be replicated in exactly the same way. The magic of a moment lies in its uniqueness, in the fact that it will never come again. When we cling, we trap ourselves in a cycle of dissatisfaction. By trying to hold on to what is passing, we create suffering for ourselves. The object of our attachment inevitably changes, moves away, or dissolves, leaving us with a sense of loss. Even when we manage to maintain the illusion of possession, the joy we derive from it diminishes over time, as familiarity breeds complacency. This is the paradox of clinging. The harder we try to hold on to something, the more we rob it of its ability to bring us joy. Letting go of clinging does not mean detachment in the sense of indifference or apathy. It means engaging with life fully and wholeheartedly, knowing that it is ever-changing. It means loving deeply, not despite the fact that relationships may end, but because their impermanence makes them all the more valuable. It means enjoying the gifts of the moment without needing them to last forever. This perspective allows us to experience life with an open heart and an unclouded mind. To embrace the transient nature of life is also to free ourselves from the illusion of control. We cannot stop time, prevent change, or alter the fundamental impermanence of existence. When we cling, we are attempting to exert control over the uncontrollable, and this effort only leads to frustration and pain. By releasing this need for control, we find peace. We come to see that life's transience is not a threat, but a gift, an invitation to live fully in the present moment. Furthermore, accepting life's impermanence fosters gratitude. When we understand that nothing lasts forever, we begin to appreciate what we have while we have it. Each interaction, each experience, each breath becomes an opportunity for gratitude. This gratitude deepens our connection to life, enriching our relationships and heightening our sense of wonder. Ultimately, clinging blinds us to life's beauty because it focuses our attention on what we fear losing rather than on what we have. It narrows our perspective, causing us to miss the fullness of the present moment. By contrast, embracing life's transience broadens our view, allowing us to see the interconnectedness and dynamism of existence. It reveals the profound beauty that lies in the ebb and flow of life, in the constant dance of creation and dissolution. Life is inherently transient, and this truth is not something to be feared, but something to be celebrated. The fleeting nature of existence is what gives it meaning, depth, and vibrancy. When we release our grip and stop clinging, we free ourselves to experience life in its fullness, to see its beauty, feel its richness, and live with an open and unburdened heart. In doing so, we discover that the true essence of life is not in holding onto it, but in letting it flow freely through us. The act of letting go is a profound gesture of liberation. It is the relinquishment of our rigid need to control, a surrender to the flow of life that opens the door to endless possibilities. When we let go, we free ourselves from the constraints of attachment, fear, and overthinking, creating space for something far greater to emerge: spontaneity, creativity, and the ability to truly live. This shift is not a mere philosophical ideal, but a deeply transformative experience, one that invites us to engage with life in a way that is authentic, vibrant, and unbounded. Spontaneity arises naturally when we release the grip of control. In our efforts to predict and manage every aspect of our lives, we often stifle the organic, unplanned moments that bring joy and surprise. Clinging to expectations or rigid plans leaves little room for the unexpected, for the serendipities that enrich our existence. Letting go, however, allows us to embrace the present moment with an open heart and an open mind. It is in this openness that spontaneity thrives. Without the weight of past regrets or future anxieties, we are free to respond to life as it unfolds, to act on inspiration in the moment, and to experience the world with fresh eyes. Consider how spontaneity brings a sense of aliveness to our daily lives. A spontaneous conversation with a stranger, an unplanned adventure, or a sudden burst of laughter — these are the moments that color our experiences and remind us of the beauty of being alive. They cannot be scheduled or forced. They can only arise when we let go of our need for control and allow life to surprise us. Spontaneity is not recklessness, but a form of trust in the flow of life and our ability to navigate it without clinging to preconceived notions. In letting go, we also create fertile ground for creativity to flourish. Creativity, by its nature, is boundless and thrives in an environment free from constraints. When we cling to rigid ideas, fear of failure, or the need for perfection, we inhibit our creative potential. These mental barriers act like walls, confining our imagination and stifling our ability to explore new possibilities. Letting go dismantles these walls, inviting us to think, feel, and create without limitation. The creative process is inherently unpredictable. Whether we are writing, painting, solving a problem, or building a relationship, creativity often involves venturing into the unknown. It requires a willingness to take risks, make mistakes, and experiment. By letting go of the fear of getting it wrong, we give ourselves permission to play, to explore, and to innovate. This freedom unleashes our innate creative energy, allowing us to approach life with a sense of curiosity and wonder. True living is not about merely existing or going through the motions. It is about being fully alive, savoring the beauty of a sunrise, feeling the warmth of a loved one's touch, or immersing oneself in the rhythm of a favorite song. These moments of presence are where life's true essence resides. Letting go enables us to access this essence, to move beyond the superficial and connect with the deeper currents of existence. Additionally, letting go helps us navigate life's inevitable challenges with greater ease and resilience. When we cling to fixed ideas of how things should be, we become rigid and resistant to change. This resistance amplifies our suffering when life does not go according to plan. Letting go, however, allows us to adapt, to flow with life's changes rather than fight against them. It teaches us that even in uncertainty and loss, there is room for growth, discovery, and renewal. In relationships, the act of letting go can transform how we connect with others. Clinging to expectations, grievances, or the need to control often creates tension and distance. When we let go of these attachments, we approach our relationships with greater empathy, understanding, and openness. This shift fosters deeper connections, allowing love and compassion to flourish. It reminds us that relationships, like life itself, are dynamic and require space to grow and evolve. The spaciousness created by letting go is not a void but a canvas, an invitation for life to paint its masterpiece. In that space, spontaneity ignites, creativity blossoms, and the vibrancy of true living emerges. We begin to see life not as something to be managed or conquered, but as an adventure to be experienced. This perspective transforms even the mundane into something extraordinary, as we approach each moment with curiosity and a sense of wonder. Ultimately, the act of letting go is an act of trust. It is trusting in the flow of life, in our own resilience, and in the possibilities that emerge when we release our grip. It is a declaration of freedom, a reclaiming of our right to live authentically and joyfully. By letting go, we step out of the shadows of fear and limitation and into the light of spontaneity, creativity, and true living. In this light, we discover that life's greatest treasures are not found in holding on, but in the space we create when we let go. Letting go is a profound and courageous act, one that asks us to surrender the illusion of control and place our trust in the universe's inherent wisdom. It is not about giving up or resigning ourselves to fate, rather. It is about recognizing that life operates on a scale far greater than our individual grasp. By letting go, we step into the flow of existence, embracing its rhythms and patterns with faith that there is an underlying intelligence guiding it all. This trust is not blind but deeply intuitive, born from an understanding that life's mysteries often unfold in ways beyond our comprehension. Human beings are wired to seek security and certainty, to plan and predict, to mold life to fit our desires and expectations. We cling to what feels familiar and strive to control outcomes, believing that this will shield us from pain and ensure our happiness. Yet this grasping often leads to frustration, anxiety, and disappointment, as life rarely conforms to our carefully laid plans. The act of letting go, then, is a radical departure from this mindset. It is an acknowledgement that we cannot control everything and that, in many cases, our attempts to do so only create more suffering. Trusting in the universe's wisdom means accepting that there is a larger picture at play, one that we may not fully see or understand. It is about recognizing that the same force that orchestrates the rising and setting of the sun, the growth of a tree, or the movement of the tides also governs the flow of our lives. This force, whether we call it nature, divinity, or simply the inherent order of the cosmos, operates with an intelligence that transcends human understanding. Letting go is an act of aligning ourselves with this intelligence, of stepping out of the way so that life can unfold as it is meant to. This trust requires a leap of faith, particularly in moments of uncertainty or adversity. When faced with loss, change, or unfulfilled desires, our instinct is often to resist, to hold on tighter in an attempt to regain control. Yet it is precisely in these moments that letting go becomes most transformative. By releasing our grip, we create space for life to bring us what we truly need, which may be different from what we thought we wanted. This process demands patience and humility, as it often takes time for life's wisdom to reveal itself. Letting go is not a passive act. It is an active engagement with life's uncertainties, a willingness to trust the unfolding journey without clinging to specific outcomes. It involves cultivating a mindset of openness and receptivity, allowing ourselves to flow with life rather than against it. This shift in perspective can be profoundly liberating, freeing us from the burden of constant striving and the fear of failure. It reminds us that we are not isolated individuals struggling to control our destinies, but part of a vast, interconnected whole. When we let go and trust in the universe, we also tap into a deeper sense of peace. This peace does not come from the absence of challenges or difficulties, but from the knowledge that we are supported by something greater than ourselves. It is a peace born from surrender, from the realization that we do not have to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. In trusting the universe, we find the courage to let go of what no longer serves us, to release the need for certainty, and to embrace the unknown. This trust is particularly evident in the natural world. Consider how a river flows effortlessly, carving its path without resistance. It does not cling to the banks or try to control its course, it simply flows, trusting in the pull of gravity and the terrain ahead. In the same way trees shed their leaves in autumn, trusting that new growth will come in spring. Birds migrate thousands of miles, guided by instincts they do not question. These natural processes are powerful reminders that life unfolds with its own rhythm and purpose, independent of human intervention. When we let go, we align ourselves with this natural rhythm. We stop fighting against the current of life and begin to move with it. This does not mean we abandon effort or responsibility, rather, it means we focus our energy on what we can influence and release what is beyond our control. It is a delicate balance of action and surrender, of doing our part and trusting life to do its own. Letting go and trusting the universe also fosters a sense of wonder and gratitude. When we release our need to control, we become more attuned to the beauty and synchronicity of life. We notice the small miracles that occur every day, the unexpected opportunities that arise when we least expect them, and the way life often brings us exactly what we need, even if it is not what we initially sought. This awareness deepens our connection to the world and reminds us of the abundance and generosity inherent in life. Ultimately, letting go is an act of profound self-liberation. It frees us from the chains of fear, doubt, and attachment, allowing us to live with greater authenticity and joy. It invites us to trust not only in the universe, but also in ourselves, our resilience, our capacity to adapt, and our ability to find meaning in every experience. By letting go, we step into a partnership with life, one where we are co-creators rather than mere spectators. This partnership is built on trust, and in that trust we find the freedom to live fully, deeply, and in harmony with the greater wisdom that surrounds us. To let go is to embrace the profound reality of the present moment, shedding the burdens of the past and the anxieties of the future. It is a way of living that prioritizes what is here and now, allowing us to fully engage with life as it unfolds. Letting go does not mean forgetting the past or ignoring the future, rather, it means releasing their hold over us. By doing so, we open ourselves to the richness of the present, discovering that it is the only moment where life truly exists. The past is a reservoir of memories, lessons, and experiences. While it shapes who we are, clinging to it often leads to unnecessary suffering. Regrets, guilt, and nostalgia can weigh us down, making it difficult to move forward. When we obsess over what was, we tether ourselves to a time that no longer exists, allowing its shadow to obscure the light of the present. Letting go of the past does not mean erasing it, it means accepting it. It means acknowledging that it happened, learning from it, and then setting it free. In this release, we reclaim the energy we have been pouring into what cannot be changed, redirecting it toward the life unfolding before us. Similarly, the future is a realm of possibilities, dreams, and uncertainties. It can inspire hope and ambition, but it can also become a source of fear and anxiety. When we fixate on the future, we often create scenarios in our minds that distract us from what is happening right now. We worry about outcomes, plan obsessively, or yearn for a time that has yet to arrive, placing our happiness in a tomorrow that may never come. This preoccupation with what lies ahead can prevent us from appreciating the beauty and opportunities of the present moment. To let go of the future is to trust in the flow of life, to understand that while planning and preparation have their place, the present moment is where our attention and energy are most needed. Living fully in the present moment requires an openness and attentiveness that is only possible when we let go. It means being fully immersed in whatever we are doing, whether it is as simple as enjoying a meal, as profound as connecting with a loved one, or as mundane as walking down the street. When we let go of distractions, worries, and lingering thoughts, we become more aware of the textures, sounds, and emotions that make up our immediate experience. This heightened awareness brings a sense of aliveness, as if the world is more vivid and vibrant. Letting go also unburdens us from the incessant mental chatter that often clouds our perception. The mind, left unchecked, has a tendency to ruminate on the past or project into the future, pulling us away from the present. When we let go, we quiet this chatter, creating space for stillness and clarity. In this state, we are better able to listen to our inner wisdom and respond to life with authenticity and intention. We become less reactive and more reflective, able to see situations as they are rather than through the lens of past wounds or future fears. To live fully in the present moment is to engage with life as it is, not as we wish it to be. It means accepting the reality of the now with all its joys and challenges. This acceptance does not imply passivity or resignation. On the contrary, it is a powerful act of courage and presence. When we stop resisting what is and start embracing it, we free ourselves to take meaningful action. We respond to life's demands with focus and grace, unencumbered by the weight of what has been or what might be. Letting go and living in the present moment also deepens our connections with others. When we are fully present, we are able to truly listen and engage without the distractions of our own mental preoccupations. This presence fosters empathy and understanding, enriching our relationships and creating moments of genuine connection. It reminds us that the people in our lives are not abstractions to be analyzed or memories to be cherished later. They are living, breathing individuals to be experienced in the here and now. Moreover, letting go allows us to savor life's fleeting beauty. The present moment is constantly in flux, a river that flows onward, never to return. When we let go of our attachments to past and future, we become more attuned to this transience. We begin to see the magic in the ordinary, the play of sunlight on a wall, the laughter of a child, the rhythm of our own breath. These moments, often overlooked, become profound when we are fully present for them. In appreciating their impermanence, we also appreciate their value. Living fully in the present moment does not mean abandoning responsibility or forsaking our dreams. It means approaching life with a sense of balance, where we honor the past, prepare for the future, but anchor ourselves in the now. It is a way of being that invites us to participate fully in the unfolding of our lives, to find joy and meaning in the journey rather than fixating solely on the destination. Ultimately, to let go is to free ourselves from the unnecessary burdens that keep us from truly living. It is an act of liberation, one that allows us to experience life in its fullest expression. By releasing the past and relinquishing our grip on the future, we come home to the present, the only place where life happens. In this state of presence, we find peace, purpose, and the profound joy of simply being alive. Letting go is not an escape, it is an entry, a doorway into the vibrant reality of the moment, unburdened and unbounded.